The dark night of the soul is the spiritual form of a solar eclipse, in which you are temporarily obstructing the pathway of light to bring yourself into the process of illumination. Temporarily, you are creating the illusion for yourself that there is no light at the end of the tunnel of consciousness, because you are granting yourself the opportunity of evaluating your darkness and staying there until you learn how to cultivate the power of transmutation, to understand why those shadows exist in your physical reality that you've actually been projecting from a place of denying the shadows within yourself. By bringing yourself into the dark night of the soul, you're creating yourself the most enriching opportunity to understand why in your reality you've been maintaining illusions, fear, inauthenticity, and more harm for yourself by choosing to deflect attention from the real source of unconsciousness, which needs to be understood at a time in which too many factors of inauthenticity have been cultivated outside of you. The dark night of the soul comes when you are ready to undergo the dawn of personal awakening and the transformation of everything that has been keeping you stuck and small relative to the true potential of your higher self. And you undergo this process only when you're already accumulating so many factors that are preventing you from being all that you are, which then allows for the collapsing of all of the egoic illusions supporting who you are not. This process will feel like the house of cards of your reality collapsing to reveal the small nature of the ego that can no longer support the illusion of what it is not. When this collapsing of different external factors occurs, you are there to deal with your own emotional state, coming home to the singularity of your authentic essence. What you feel in those moments of darkness is the pure yin energy of your consciousness, deep feeling, and you become the tides of energy which previously you've been suppressing. What's revealed is any pain you're experiencing in your current moment that reverberates the echoes of past trauma. This can be trauma that lives in your field of awareness, from moments that you can't even now identify with. Everything coming up is revealing where you're still abandoning yourself or feeling like a victim in your current reality, where you feel you lack an ability to become your true self and to come home to everything that needs to be integrated for you to be the full expression of who you are at your core. What you will begin to realize is that what you're experiencing as pain created in your physical life is allowing you to reveal where you're still harming yourself by not allowing you to connect with the loving factors in your own field, where you haven't been able to assemble a full picture of what your soul is here to experience is what allowed in physical abuse, inauthentic circumstances, and different pain created by yourself reflected in different people, situations, and things that have created that awareness of where you have been denying the true qualities of your consciousness. This is happening to help you see that you cannot support these illusions of who you are not. And if you try to remain in that state of disassociation for long enough, you end up building up a reality which is bound to crumble, leading to the feeling of despair that is the dark night of the soul until you learn that all of this is happening to help you reveal the illusion that your life may be a fairy tale you've created for yourself if it's not reflecting what you really feel deep down. In other words, the dark night of the soul happens when you've gone too far in the disassociated state of trying to create a life that doesn't actually match what you experience deep down. If you believe that you can create reality just from the mental state of trying to connect with certain ideals or illusions of what you want to experience, who you want to be with, or what you want to be doing to experience a certain expression of yourself. But if that doesn't mentally align with your own emotional state, or if you've been neglecting your needs for too long, or allowing in mistreatment, people to erode your boundaries, or different feelings of inadequacy and insufficiency to be maintained in your inner world while you're going through your external life, pretending as if everything is okay, that eventually will lead to a dark night of the soul. This essentially can be seen as choosing to polarize from your internal state of feeling for long enough until you experience the boomerang effect like a rubber band bringing you drastically into the direction of your singularity. If you try to run away from or distance yourself from that point of true self-awareness for long enough, You'll be able to build an entire empire in the external reality, but that will eventually crumble when you still feel that it's not matching the innermost condition. Because whatever you express outside of you that is inauthentic will create more of a boundary between you and yourself, between you and your own soul. Which means all that the dark night is revealing is that you have gone too far away from your own essence, and you are now realizing that experiencing the shadows of your own unconsciousness is imperative for you to realign with the light aspects of who you really are. Personal illumination is never a pleasant process, because you must understand that when you're choosing to maintain inauthenticity, it is not because you don't actually see your other aspects of self. It is because you believe you are undeserving of mirroring them equally outside of you. The dark night is revealing where you have been keeping up illusions within your own mind, choosing not to trust yourself, choosing not to listen to the cues of your higher self, choosing not to listen to those deep gut instincts and heart-based inclinations guiding you in a certain direction. Because whenever you feel like you can go in the pathway of the random assignments of your brain egoically leading you in the direction of where you think you need to go to experience the ultimate reality, you're actually choosing to circumvent the deeper cues of your higher self. Choosing to go in this direction that is guiding you into the land of egoic illusion can only go so far, and eventually you will feel that you are met with the crossroads in your own field. Eventually you will feel that if you don't reconnect with yourself, you'll be maintaining a dualistic reality in which you're constantly dancing between the two poles, the mind and the heart, the ego and the soul, the external and the internal, leading you to feel like you must be different versions of yourself, come different circumstances, different people, or different events in your life that take you into different directions, because this reality of a split has been created from a split within your own self. The dark night of the soul can feel like you are drastically splitting away from what is to show you that the split nature is what you have been maintaining. Though you might have not experienced the split in the past, that may be because you became comfortable with the nature of the split within your own field. This split is the source of fragmentation, and the split began during any moment in your life when you felt you needed to accommodate a slightly different version of yourself to allow for a certain tint of reality that you prefer to experience over that of your authentic essence. When the persona creates a dual nature, what it's experiencing is an identity almost seated on two different stools. Imagine you're trying to simultaneously feel in different ways about yourself, or to show up in different personalities and different styles, to experience slightly different aspects of the experience. This is a game of trying to have your cake and eat it too, so to speak. An experience in which you're trying to maintain dual selves, but in reality fooling yourself because you know the full truth of who you are and what you are meant to illuminate, because that is granted to you through the faculties of your intuition and the deepest perception within your heart. When you don't listen to your heart, or you don't allow yourself to occupy the stool of your own consciousness, which allows for the experience of authenticity, where you're seated in one place, designating divine alignment, neutrality, coherence between mind, heart, and spirit, and the essence of yourself, which is experienced when you fully trust and devote yourself to oneness, you will eventually feel like life or some external power is guiding you into that awareness of your fragmentation. Misfortune may be experienced. Desires might not come to fruition, or even if they do end up manifesting, you may feel like they don't actually lead to your joy. The dark night of the soul ultimately happens when you've deprived yourself of connection to your own true self for long enough that you then realize you have made a mistake in not doing so. But that mistake is not meant to bring you out of alignment or to deter you from trusting your authentic self at all. It's actually meant to make you pivot in the direction of ultimate trust and alignment, where previously that was a strategy you only turned to occasionally when you felt like it. The dark night of the soul makes it inevitable for you to realize that moving away from your 0 point is creating the interference. And you start to see that you are actually creating the entirety of this experience for yourself. Yes, everything that has been happening outside of you is now mirrored as an expression of what you've been housing within yourself. The collective pain, the struggle, the mistreatment, Everything that you felt was out of control was never meant to be a part of your control, because you didn't actually attract that from a position of being aware of what you're creating. You've created all these elements as part of a game, projected from that state of trying to rule your life egoically. And when that plan fails, you're forced to surrender and to understand the reality is created as an expression of your energy. And only by coming home to what you feel deep down can you understand what you've been feeling all along. If you've been trying to make people validate you, you eventually will feel hopeless because only you can provide the validation you need. If you have been trying to avoid abandonment by self-abandoning yourself into distracting yourself through certain egoic pursuits, you will eventually find that self-abandonment only leads you astray. If you've been trying to procure a state of unconditional love by choosing to actually conditionally love people and yourself, you'll find that that plan is miserably failing and leading you into more self-loathing. If you're trying to move into a world of abundance, but you're really trying to accumulate more possessions that distract you from the abundance within, you're going to feel even more hopeless. And the dark night of the soul reveals to you that all of your inauthentic strategies are actually leading to your misery. And when they are dropped, you can experience the reconnection to your true source of bliss. When you're in that dark night period, you're going to feel like you're falling deep into this abyss of your own field. You might feel completely powerless, but that process of surrender is actually bringing you into the state of alignment with something much more pure than the control of your ego. It's connecting you to the gravity of love, which is moving you into a state of connection to Source itself. You begin to realize that through the lack of control, you're actually gaining the most imperative control over your own consciousness by choosing to understand what has been creating the foundation of your physical experience. By choosing to gain awareness, you gain sovereignty. You gain power by trying to understand the why of this inevitable leap into the unknown. And by understanding that this is not actually happening to misalign you, but to align you with your true source of self, you understand that you have been creating this all along. Both the pain, the struggle, and the illumination. You've been orchestrating the entirety of this journey of your consciousness, and the sooner that you embrace this gift of life, the sooner you come to accept that you can be the creator of a more opportune pathway into the light of your awareness. So if you're experiencing a dark night of the soul, or if you know anybody that is going through this, remember this experience is meant to bring you into a eureka moment of understanding that if you are dwelling in darkness, you're choosing to deprive yourself from the awareness of what your 0 point can create for you. This 0 point is meant to activate your awareness of what energy is here to create. You're here to move into reality in a way that allows for expansion, opportunity, potentiality, that allows for the expansion of love, freedom, and the exploration of the true colors of your field. If you've been polarizing away from that exploration of your true self, you're going to eventually feel like you're absorbed into the darkness, because the darkness that you've been creating for yourself is preventing the understanding of who you really are and what you're here to share with the world. Meanwhile, when you choose to illuminate yourself even in the darkest of times, you understand that only the illumination of all of you can create an experience that is filled with light, not with the shadowy interplay of your ego that can keep you in a state of deprivation while fooling you to think you've experienced everything you've ever been desiring. The dark night of the soul is a moment that feels like a quantum jump. That's actually spontaneously created. It's created from your subconscious desire to understand what integration means and how that feels when you are ready to plunge into the depths that are beyond your ego. When you're ready to lose control and understand what love really is, you end up losing everything that never really embodied the essence of love. You end up realizing that what you have been maintaining as a false illusion in your reality actually feels like the antithetical frequency of love. It's the anti-self that has been creating all of these obstructions that you're now letting yourself dissolve to come back to the heart of what love really means. And so the way to find the light at the end of the darkness is not to run away from anyone or anything during this time. To sit in those depths and to let yourself penetrate your own ego. To go into and through your shadow and to realize there is nothing to fear about yourself. to let yourself feel pain until you realize you are safe to experience your own emotions, and your vulnerability is being highlighted as the true range of experience you are meant to come and bring into this world. Only through your deepest emotional state can you understand divinity, and can you learn what is worth really aligning with. Because if you've been robbing yourself of authentic alignment, then emotions will eventually have to come through and create catharsis. They have been there all along, but you have been neglecting them. Once you stop emotionally neglecting yourself, you can ask yourself what lovingly needs to be included into your reality so that you can experience gradual illumination, so that you can wake up every single day and look for the light at the end of the tunnel, to understand that your experience is always going to be more gratifying if you choose to illuminate more qualities of who you really are with the people and in the circumstances that can understand you for the core of your self-expression. And sometimes we must understand, only through the darkest of times, that there is nothing worth fearing other than our own obstruction. And this ecliptic moment is really us understanding we have been coming in the way of our own bliss, of our own enlightenment, and of our own coming to terms with God. Remember, too, that everyone and everything is reflecting fractalization of yourself and source consciousness as a whole. When you experience the pulling away and distancing from all of these elements outside of you, temporarily you feel that everything is illusion, including separation. When you feel that separation is an illusion, it's an opportunity to see that you have been one with the experience all along, and that only oneness can allow you to come back into the world and to perceive everything as a continuation of your own field. And so once you allow yourself to sit in that darkness and to reflect on the discontinuity within your experience, you can understand how to create a new kind of a continuum, how to choose to prioritize your light aspects, to seek love by being love, to choose a path of connection to the divine by choosing to be a continuation of the divine within every part of your own field. And then there will only be more light created as an expression of who you are allowing yourself to experience through everyone and everything else, leading you to understand nobody is really separate from you, and nothing is creating more distance unless you choose to distance from this truth of oneness, which the dark night allows you to reveal.